Welcome back to Leeds lately. As you can see above me, up there, Leeds United have just lost 5-0 away at Arsenal. Shocking. Before we get into the actual video, if you could make sure that you hit that button down below, that would massively help me out. And also check out all the links in the description, my Etsy store and things like that for Leeds United artwork. But Leeds United have just lost 5-0 away at the Emirates. I did a tactical preview about this game, and I talked about the way that we needed to keep it tight, drop into a bit of a 4-5-1, and then play on the break and look for our moments to spring counter-attacks. But we were just terrible, almost from start to finish. There were moments, I'd probably say, in total, between 5 and 10 minutes in the entire game where it looked like we might be a Premier League side. Throughout the rest of it, though, we just looked scared. And I think scared is the right word because... Look, I don't need these on anymore. I think scared is the correct word here because I think that Leeds were panicked under the pressure of Arsenal in the midfield, especially any time that they chose to put any kind of pressure on us to try to win the ball back. Any time they pressed us in the midfield, we panicked. And it wasn't a case of panic and kick the ball long. It was a case of panic and still trying to play through the lines in the midfield and just passing it straight back to them. Over and over again, we would pass the ball straight back to them. And it meant that we just had the ball coming back at us over and over and over again. In pre-season, I talked about one of the most important things to have in the Premier League is a midfield that keeps hold of the ball. Because if you have a midfield that loses the ball often, like we did when we had Mark Rocker and Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie, and that was our kind of midfield, that's when we would just lose the ball a lot of the time, and the ball would come straight back at us up the other end, and that's when teams who are clinical, like Arsenal, score goals. So that's your first problem. You start in a game where everybody is in a panicked state of mind almost. It's almost frenzied. The ball comes to someone and they quickly kick it as fast as they can first time at someone's chest, and they can't keep hold of it, and then we lose the ball. There's that problem. So that's number one. So we'll categorise that as... poor passing and ball retention. Second thing, defensive structure at times was bad. Look, we know that our system kind of relies on our fullbacks going forward, but there were gaps in the middle of the defence at times that were shocking. The positioning, players who weren't able to get back behind the ball or track their runners for the second goal, Saka's goal, Gruev picks the ball up, gives it away. That's a problem with point one, gives the ball straight away. Then Goodmanson doesn't track his runner, and then Perry should be doing better with the save. So that's poor defending. Could have been avoided, that goal, really easily if Gruev just didn't give it away in the first place. That's one goal down. For the third point I'm going to make, I think we should have started this game with some different personnel. I think the starting lineup that Farke went with, for me, wasn't right. Obviously, it's easy to say that in hindsight, but I did say before the game, number one, I would have started Mecha in this game. Joel Peru is a very good striker, and I like Joel Peru. Let's put that to one side. In a game like this, where you're going to be up against it, you've got to play with a striker who can hold the ball up and win the ball. Mecha had a much, much better chance of winning a ball against Saliba or Gabriel. Peru's got no chance. Then you look at bringing in Yakabiyol. If Yakabiyol started that game, I don't think that we concede the goal off the corner because that was shocking defending from the set piece. There was no tracking of the runner. Timber was just free in there. As for the other corner that went in, shocking, just bouncing around, bobbling around, and nobody took responsibility and cleared the ball. Crap. The penalty was not a penalty. I mean, look, stepping on somebody's toe and they entirely fling themselves to the floor is just poor, really. I don't think that was a penalty. But it doesn't change the fact that we still would have lost 4-0 in this game. So those are the main things, really. Personnel, I don't mean to flip the bird at you. Personnel, the way that we would give the ball away in midfield, and then actually defensive structure as well in this game. And I think those three things, combination of those three things, panic setting in, really, really killed us in this game, and we just didn't look like we had a chance. In the tactical preview, I talked about how I wanted Leeds to play on the break, sit tight and be defensive and play on the break against teams like this. So now that we're about halfway through the video, that's all of the kind of negative stuff. More than halfway. That's all the negative stuff. There isn't really any positive, spoiler alert. But what I will say is, obviously goal difference matters, and especially in a relegation battle. But at this point in the season, when you're looking at this, we always expected to lose this game. So the fact that we have is no shock to us. It's the manner in which we did it which is scary for the rest of the season, because if we play like that against top sides, we will get battered by every single one of them. And you expect to hopefully at least pick up a point here and there against some of the top sides. So there's that. Being that bad against the top sides is very, very worrying. Take that all aside. We expected to lose this game, and if we'd have lost it 1-0 or 2-0 and put in a better performance, we might have been feeling a little bit better, but the points on the board would have looked exactly the same. So we have to come in to the next game against Newcastle with a new attitude, with more positive. It's at home, so that makes a big difference, and potentially we'll be able to start people like Noah Okafor by that point. Jacobi Yol hopefully coming into the starting lineup, being more solid, but also having that ability to go forward as well. So there has to be something that we learn from this. I think off the pitch and on the pitch. On the pitch, there has to be something that we learn from this in that we shouldn't be panicking against these sides. We shouldn't be giving up, because it looked like some individuals were giving up. And do you know what? At this early in the season, I'm not going to start pulling apart individuals, but I've got them in my head of individuals that looked like they gave up a little bit later on in that game. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, but I'm not mentioning and kind of spreading negativity towards players. It might have been just the situation got the better of them. But what I will say is I've got my eye on them, and I don't want to see that again. So that's on the pitch. Shocking. Needs to be better. Off the pitch, this sends a message, not to God, to the board. To the higher-ups at Leeds United, this sends a message. We need more players of a higher quality. We need Bakwa, Demirovic, and another backup fullback. Because if you're having to bring on Sam Byram in a Premier League game, that's when you know your squad's not deep enough. So, backup fullback, Bakwa, Demirovic. Bring them in, and we might be all right. But as it stands at the moment, we look worrying against the top sides. But I'll leave you with a positive note. There is a huge, huge, huge gulf between the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City, even Spurs. Spurs beat Man City today, and the lowers down in the Premier League, the teams who just got promoted. Arsenal's squad is worth 1.3 billion or something, and Leeds is worth about 300 million. So bear that in mind, that we never expected to win this game, and there's a huge gap. We never expected to win the games against these top European elite sides. But we are expected to compete against the likes of Newcastle for a draw maybe, or to nick a win. And I hope that applies and that mentality goes forward into games against Burnley and West Ham, where we need to be picking up points. So that's what I'll leave you with. Thanks for watching Leeds Lately. We'll be live again for the Carabao Cup game, when we can all kind of chill out a bit and see some of our new transfers and see what they can do against Sheffield Wednesday in the Cup. So, yeah, thanks for watching Leeds Lately. I'll see you in the next one. That'll be on Tuesday. And, yeah, Poor game, but let's just move on.